Hey everybody, and thanks for stopping by. A couple of weeks ago, Gio and I posted a video here on my channel for the Les Paul collaboration he and I are doing together. In that video, we are attempting to solve 4 or 5 different issues that we both share with the classic Les Paul design. The finish, assembly, and sound demos for that series are coming soon to Gio's channel, so stay on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, I thought you guys may enjoy seeing one episode of what it took for me to get my guitar from raw timber up to the point that it's at in that video, and my effort to solve my own Les Paul dilemma. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Sweet Tea Guitars. I got my glue bottle ready here. I got my roller ready. We're just going to take this off the stack. I'm using a piece of Macassar ebony. It's solid black. It's got a few stripes in it, but I'm almost positive once I get this thing sanded, polished up to where it needs to be and oiled, it's going to just turn solid black, which is what I want. Let's get this thing radiused and we'll turn our attention back to the neck blank and try to get it flattened up tonight. I've got it set up so it's barely kissing this outside edge. And I'm just letting the weight of my arms do this. And we want to check it. That is looking dynamite. There we go, you guys, a perfect 12-inch radius. So what I want to do now is let's pop the clamps off our neck blank. We're running across the jointer a couple of times, get one side flat, and then we'll start double checking everything, get some draw up done. Let's hop over to the jointer and get at least one side of this thing cleaned up, if not both. All right, you guys, there we go. I got some nice curl on this end, so I'm going to make that my headstock side, and it runs all the way through the blank. But what a beautiful neck blank. Let's draw out a center line on this thing first. And there's my center line. This is my headstock end. Now let's trace this neck out. There's my nut line. I'm going to use the original Sweet Tea headstock. And there we go. All ready to roll. And that is a 7-degree break angle on our headstock with about 2 millimeters to spare. Look how beautiful that is right there. That's lovely. All right, you guys, I got down here last night and thought I had hit the record button on my Panasonic camera. I got the neck up to this point. I got my headstock flattened out, leveled out, squared, everything's ready to roll, and I got my neck shape rough cut. I'm going to attach the template to this neck, get over to the router table, get the perimeter of this neck shape cut, then we can glue the fretboard on. I've got a notch cut into the end of my neck right here, and before I glue the fretboard on, I want to take a little of this length off, and I want to get that notch cut down to that line right there. Let's get that done. I'm going to call that good right there. Let's mount up this 2mm drill bit and get ourselves some alignment pins installed in this thing. Our fretboard's glued on, we're ready to roll. All right, you guys, so what I want to do now is I want to draw out this top. The main reason I want to do this is because I want to save all this offcut stuff, first of all for a headstock cap, and secondly just because it's awesome. I don't want to waste any of this, so I'll go ahead and cut this top to within a couple of millimeters of size. Check out that top, you guys. Is that not just awesome? I love this thing. So I've got both the pieces I need right here. What a beautiful piece of limba this is. So this should slide right down on that pin. I should be able to line that up right on my center line. That's going to be our body. What I want to do now is build up the sides where the radius is at so I can set this template on here and it not rock back and forth. I've done this before. I'm going to use several pieces of 1/2" masking tape right down the side of my fretboard line. And this is just the way I've come up with to do this. All right, you guys, I'm all set up. I got my neck clamped down on top of a caul just to give me a little clearance. I'm going to use a bottom bearing bit. In my trim router, we'll get the depth set, and I'll just go down through here and let the bearing ride along the side of my existing neck shape, and that will flush trim our fretboard to that shape. All right, you guys, we're back at the router table. I really need to thank Radian Tools once again for hooking me up with this beautiful router bit set. This is part of my prize package for winning the Great Guitar Belt off this year, or this past year. So triple flute binding bit set. It came with 4 different bearings on it, so I can cut any number of binding channel sizes. What I've got on here right now, if I'm not mistaken, is a 2.5 millimeter. Yes, a 2.5 millimeter cutting depth. I've got my depth stop set so I barely catch the edge of this maple right here. And there we go. All right, you guys, so I've cut the end of that fretboard as close as I can get it up against that template. I want to take my Iwasaki and get as much of this gone as possible. Let's clamp this neck down so it's not moving all around on us. Way better. Now, I'm also going to have binding mitered that comes across the front of this fretboard like this. There we go. We just want to apply a bead down the side of this fretboard. Try to keep as much of it as possible out of the fret slot. Okay. All right, you guys, as you can hear, it's raining like crazy. Before we do anything, I want to get these binding pieces shaved off back at my nut line. Let's just get this done. I got my little Bridge City HP8 right here. And let's plane down the sides of this binding. We got our neck sideways on the bench right now. We're getting ready to drill in our side dots. So let's go down through here and mark these things out. All right, you guys, we're getting ready to shape this neck. This is my 27th guitar neck that I've carved right here, or that I will have carved. I'm just now getting to the point that I feel like the process I use is not only repeatable, but predictable. I feel confident at this point that I have got my neck shaping process honed in exactly like I like it. When I carve a neck, I like to go from a modern C on the first fret, and then I gradually taper my profile out till I get to more like a 65 C profile. I call it a D profile because it flattens out on the back of the neck. That makes the neck feel faster in the higher register. So to me, that gives you an equal balance of chord playing comfort down here on the lower end of the neck and the speed that most guys like up on the upper register of the neck. The neck on an electric guitar, to me, is the single most important attribute that that guitar can have. This is a song-making, music-making tool. That's how I look at a guitar. I want any guitar player that ever picks up one of my guitars, I want to create an immediate connection between that instrument and the player that that instrument was built for. There's nothing more special than the relationship between a guitar player and his instrument. I know that, and I live by that philosophy when it comes to building, you guys. So if you ever buy a guitar from me, rest assured that's what I'm going for on every one. So we want our total neck thickness at the first fret to be between 20.5 to 21 millimeters. That's where I like it to be. Right down here where my transition starts, I want that thickness to be at 22.5 to 23 millimeters. So we're going to set it to 23. We're going to mark that off. I've made myself a center line. I found that center line using my protractor. I want to use that center piece as my center line finder. So I took these two pieces of white veneer that I've got in here. I measured the distance. It's 8 millimeters on each side of 0. I marked that. I marked that down here. I drew myself in a center line. I measured the distance from the edge of the neck to the center line here, and from the edge of the neck to the center line here. I halved that distance. In this case, it was 13 millimeters. Down here, it was 11 millimeters. I drew myself a line, observing that taper, and you can see it changes a little as it goes down that wing A stripe right there. On the edge of the neck, I measured the distance between this top edge right here and where I put that tape on the edge of my fretboard. That measurement was 22 millimeters on this end, 21 millimeters on this end. I halved those distances. Up here, 22 is 11. Down here, 21 millimeters was 10.5. So I drew myself a line down the sides of my neck on both sides using my ruler stop. After I drew all those lines, I ran myself some pieces of tape to ride right on that pencil line. What that does is marks off the material that we need to remove first, which is right here. So what you're looking for is halfway between the center line and the edge, halfway between the tip and the tape line on the fretboard. Once I get this facet cut in, and this first one, I take myself a nice, freshly sharpened cabinet scraper, and I scrape this bevel, and I watch the bottom of the scraper as I'm dragging it down through here to make certain that I don't see any light under it. Well, I can tell right now I've got a little round over right here, and possibly even down here at the end. I want to get rid of that. I want this perfectly flat. When I'm starting to take my final passes and I know I'm almost done, I'll take my finger, my middle finger, while I'm holding the scraper. I've got 3 points of contact on the back of my neck, my pinky, my ring finger, and my middle finger. And I'm letting my middle finger ride that ridge. That way I can hold this thing straight as we come down this neck. The more perfect you can get this facet, the more control that's going to give you as we go to the next set of facets. It's really important to get this right. This right here is an Arnaud burnisher from France. When it comes to pulling a burr on a cabinet scraper, I have never seen anything that will do as good of a job as this thing will. It's phenomenal. Time to cut the body out, I think. Yeah, I am so happy with this thing, you guys. This Buckeye Burl top is going to be otherworldly once I get my stain and stuff done to it. I really think it will. And that, my friends, is a tight neck pocket. Let's measure out our scale length accurately. Yeah, so 24 3/4, roughly 630 millimeters. There's my Les Paul dilemma. Right there. That is sweet. So what I'm doing right now is pulling the air bubbles out of this resin. So I've got a vacuum pulled and I am at minus 29 pounds, I guess it is. Right, what I'm doing now is drop filling every little divot or hole I can find with this black epoxy. All right, I think we're good. And that looks pretty wicked by itself, honestly. I like it. I got some new dye, Alumilite fluorescent yellow. I had such good results with the black Alumilite, I thought I would try some of their neon color. This should get us here. Put this in the vacuum chamber. Let that be pulling the air out of the yellow while we take care of the black. We just want a couple of drops of this black throughout this yellow. Not much. That should be more than enough. All right, you guys, here's my Les Paul. And I am so very happy with this thing. It has turned out so sweet. This guitar at current weight is 6.42 pounds. I am really impressed with that, and I'm going to be able to get this thing under that 8-pound goal that I had when I started this thing, which is one of my issues with the Les Paul, as well as Gio's for that matter. Gio's guitar has turned out so lovely as well, you guys. If you go back and watch the collaboration video, which there's a link down in the description below to that, you'll see that we have gone complete opposite ends of the spectrum on these two builds. Again, the finish, assembly, and sound demo video for both these guitars will be posted over on Gio's channel soon. I hope you guys will enjoy that video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got many plans coming up over the summer. Sorry I've been AWOL here for a while, you guys. I've had some construction work going on around the house, and I haven't been able to post regularly like I always do. But I'm getting back into things now, and I hope you guys will continue to visit the channel. Thank you again for stopping by, and as always, peace and love.